So this has got to be one of the most effed up chapters in One Piece to actually kind of come out in a really long while. Well, before I jump into that, welcome to another episode of Recap Corner. I am your host, Papa J, talking to everybody about the animes and the mangas that I rest my eyes on. And One Piece, I swear to God, is doing everything in their power to fuck over Sanji and make him necessarily come off as by far the most hurt motherfucker like in the One Piece series, or at the very least they are trying their hardest to top Robin's sad ass story. You know, they are trying their hardest, and I think that they're actually succeeding. I mean, Oda, you are doing the business with making these tragic ass stories and outcomes for characters, or at least characters in which that we like. So, what goes on in this chapter? Well, you know, we kind of do our usual thing. Now, most people, they might necessarily say that this is sort of like a pointless point early on in the chapter. In the chapter is what is going on with Chopper and Carrot. Well, apparently they have Brule, and they're running around mirror, from mirror to mirror, trying to find Luffy and everybody else, and they're gonna use Brule to pop out of the mirrors and use those like as their own transport, because again, as they're still like they say that if they make contact with her body, then they can get out of the mirror world as long as she's with them. So that one's a little interesting point. Another, which again, it may not necessarily feel like that it does a lot, but it's still a plot point, so I'll kind of leave it in there for something useful. The real sort of show stealer is when that we get to Pedro and Tamago, as that they actually use that to talk about their past or their history, in which that I will have to admit, looking at Pedro, like when he was the captain of the Nox pirates, and watching them get as far as they did with the Big Mom pirates and shit, and him being the one to take Tamago's eye and shit. That shit was fucking crazy, you know what I mean? Like, that shit was fucking amazing. But also on top of that, it was also sort of watching how, like, his friend Zoppo, which could be the brother of Bappo or could be related to him. I mean, again, they're both polar bears, so you know that is something. Or most likely, it could be his father, for all we know. You know, we don't necessarily know, but as far as we kind of see there is that he did kind of roll the wheel for Big Mom, like the punishment wheel that Big Mom had. She said that he had to give up 100 years of his life, and of course, you know, once he died and shit, because she took 30 years from him, and then he died, still had to give up 70. His Pedro took it upon himself to fucking gouge out his own eye and give that to Big Mom. Which again, she had to be impressed about, saying, you know what, I like you. I'm gonna take off 20 years. Right? Seriously, like after all that shit of him saying, you know what, eye for an eye, you kill one of my friends, okay, whatever, we're even. Okay, you take my eye, we're even. Say, yeah, I like it, but nah. You gotta give me that. I still need 50 years from you, bud. And the interesting thing about all that shit is, which most likely, if you think about it, is like, let's say Pedro was 20 when like she took those years. He's now technically 70. So if he's technically 70 and he's pretty much beating the shit out of Tamago now, like that's some interesting shit, you know. Now I don't necessarily Which did kind of actually make me wonder something, like in the midst of me talking about this, is that I think Brook actually might be the best person to actually to actually counter Big Mom's abilities, because again, him having the fucking Yomi fruit, or is it Yami? I think it's Yami. I always get those two mixed up, but like with him having the devil fruit he has and him being a fucking skeleton, she can't necessarily wipe years off of a skeleton if a devil fruit is sort of prolonging his like skeletal life. So he should be the perfect one to kind of like negate some of her fucking abilities. But then again, she might just keep him like live for one of her crazy ass collections anyway. So you know, that is something. But then again, that is a very interesting part, like with the whole Pedro and Tamago thing that I'm actually liking. But the real kicker of this episode actually comes in at the end of this chapter, which is that Sanji actually finds out that fucking Pudding is, well, at least as they kind of already foreshadow with her family. Because again, I was kind of hoping that, or at least I was kind of putting out hope that, you know, she probably might be just like Lola. You know, I mean, again, she did say that Lola was like her favorite sister and all the rest of this other shit. But somewhere deep inside of me, I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that Pudding, she might just be like the rest of her family, or at the very least, sort of like how Big Mom put it, is that Lola was a black sheep. And also, on top of that, as we've seen with just about every single one of her other kids, these motherfuckers are just fucking crazy. Because again, I guess it's something that's wrong with Big Mom as in a whole, in which that this shit sort of spreads out to her kids. Sort of like how the fucking Kazuya and the Heihachi relationship is. But then again, Heihachi kind of did that himself with him being an asshole. But you think about that, and it's like, well, yeah, that's sort of the same parenting style that Big Mom has. Of saying like, well, yeah, it's okay if you want to kill people, if you want to fuck with them. Like, honestly, it's fine, you know. And to have Sanji sort of witness that, to sort of witness Pudding not only having Reiju hostage, and her basically saying that she wants to massacre the entire Vinsmoke family and kill off fucking Sanji like upon the wedding day. Again, Judge, he may not necessarily give a fuck, but I mean, like, he may not necessarily give a fuck about Sanji, but like with them talking about like we are going to massacre the fucking Vinsmoke family. Well, that one's also a little difficult to say, because again, even though Sanji, he may be a part of that family, I think those clone soldiers, that they only listen to the heads of the Vinsmoke family. So that might not necessarily work out in Big Mom's favor. But still, even with all that though, it's like, well, now what can she do? Like, well, now her getting their clone technology, of course, that's her goal, that's fucked up. But in the same vein, you also kind of wonder too, is like, can the Vinsmoke family, can they do anything to necessarily stop Sanji? I mean, again, with how this is looking, is looking as that their only hope in this whole thing is Sanji. Because again, even though they may have the technology, even though they may have him like pinned against the wall, Sanji still seems to be the strongest member of the Vinsmoke family, even though he doesn't have his like super like genetic exoskeleton and shit. I mean, again, Reiju kind of has hers, and she's getting manhandled by fucking Pudding, you know. And also, you look at that too, and look at Yonji. Yonji got his ass fucked up by Sanji when they first got there, and it's very interesting to say that Sanji, he might have even beat Niji when like they kind of had that scuffle, man, like in the clone room, because they had to use their whole because they had to use their owner Zeph crutch just to sort of get the upper hand on him. So that's something. I mean, even looking at Judge fighting his son, he had to do, man, the wall and shit just so he could beat his son in a fighting contest. So you think about that, and it's like, well, yeah, Judge, they're not necessarily looking all that good here, going up against Big Mom's entire family. I mean, again, they may have their clone army, but then again, it's like, with how much that they've been talking about it and that they've been giving her access to it, who's to say that she kind of probably hasn't already reprogrammed her people and shit? It's very difficult to say. But from what's going on in One Piece though, I really, really, really want to see more of this. So until then, please tell me what do you think about this down there in the comment section. I'll see you on the next John Graham Show. Please keep watching anime, keep playing video games, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Recap Corner. I'm your host, Papa J, telling you all about the animes that I rest my eyeballs on. And what is going on this week in Naruto? Well, we start up again with at the fifth part of the Sasuke story. Again, something that is really interesting because they're not necessarily trying their hardest to sort of make Sasuke like a fucking juggernaut. I mean, again, we know that he is, and you know that technically nobody at this point in the story can even hurt him or, you know, kill him or stop him. So pretty much they kind of show him doing a few things